episode of GVO Tech Talk. I am Shakthi, and today we're going to talk about Flask. It's a web framework for Python. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear.
Right. So let's jump in. So this Flask is a lightweight web application framework for Python. Uh, so this initial idea was behind this Flask framework was a April Fool's joke that was so popular enough to make it a real world application. Uh, so this is an open source framework developed by an Austrian programmer called Armin Ronacher. This was initially released on April 1st in 2010. Uh, this is a micro web framework. Which means this micro doesn't mean that this framework lacks of some functionalities or features. It means it doesn't come with any database abstraction layers or form validation mechanisms. So we are free to use any of those libraries or frameworks we like. So there's a ORM for Python called SQL Alchemy. Likewise, we can choose any uh, libraries we prefer. Uh, this is actually a wrapper around Worksage, which is a utility library for Python. It is for it's a toolkit for implementing web server features in Python, like request, response, redirections. So this Flask is made as a wrapper on this Worksage library, and this Jinja is the main templating engine. So this Jinja templating engine also from Armin Ronacher, the same developer. Uh, so we can also customize this templating engine, like if you want to use another Python templating engine, we can use any templating engine we like. There are popular templating engines like Macro, Genchi, and Cheetah. All those templating engines support Flask. Uh, in 2018, in the Python developers survey, this Flask was the most popular web framework. And let's jump into the features. As I said before, this is a lightweight framework. It's just a single library, uh, and it has an inbuilt development server and a powerful debugger. Uh, it's highly flexible. That's what I told in the micro. That we can use any libraries or tools as we like. And it needs only few lines of code to start a server. Like it supports very minimal coding. Actually, that's a thing in Python, because Python is a very rich language that it can do some task in just few lines, while other languages take like many lines. And also this supports server-side rendering, which is a good feature for search engine optimization. And also mostly most of cloud platforms now support this Python framework. Uh, so these are some popular companies using Flask for their services: Netflix, Reddit, Airbnb, and Uber. Some of them. Uh, right. So you can code along with me in the demo. So you will need Python installed in your machines. Python 3.0. If you guys have Python 3.0, then you can go with me. I forgot to mention that in the email. Right. So if you have Python installed, you guys can open a terminal and run this command: pip install Flask. This will install the Flask library. Pip is a package manager for Python. If you guys get any trouble with this command, I have put a file on the chat. You can go, use that to install the pip. It's coming with the Python, but sometimes the path is not added, so you can use that file in the chat to configure it correctly. Okay, so if you guys get any problems, just feel free to ask me anytime. So this is the demo outline which I'm going to do. First hello world and some routing features and templating and cookies and sessions. Okay, let's jump into the coding. Okay, you can see my screen now.
Yeah.
So let's go with the hello world one. And okay, first we need to import the Flask library. So from Flask import Flask, right? And we are gonna create our app Flask. As the first argument, we have to give a name. Any name you can give any name. But the convention is we are gonna provide the module name. It's a global variable in Python. Double underscore name and double underscore. So we are gonna then I'm going to declare initial route. Route. This is the function for the rendering function for the route. Can use HTML tags here. Okay, now this is our hello world. Then we need to run this application. To that app.run, we need to provide the host. It's not necessary, it's the local host by default. Let's give that to and we have to specify the port. It's 5000 by default, and we are going to enable debug. Okay, now this will initialize the debugging server. Let's so you can run this by using Python and this file name, but I'm gonna use Python 3 because I have installed two versions Python. If you use a lower version than Python 3.0, we're gonna need a virtual environment, so it's really awkward at this moment. Right now the server is up and running. Here this is our first hello world application. Okay, next I'm gonna move on to the routing. Let's create another folder. Okay, I'm gonna copy this all code. There are two ways to add routes to this application. One way is this: we can use this decorator function to annotate the route, and let's create another route in the different way. First, we are going to declare route function. Okay. So we'll return this. Now we are going to add this to the add URL rule. So the rule is contact. This is the route, and the view function is the route contact. This is another way of adding route, and this is the, I think this one, the first one is easier. We'll define another route. Okay, let's terminate this one. Okay, it's running. Here you can see the initial route and see this contact route. It's also working, and the block route. Okay. Then I'll show how to use routing parameters and query parameters. Let's create a new one. Let's copy this. Okay. So I'll delete this one. Okay. To use, we can specify parameters like this. This is the block route and article. Okay, and this variable will be passed as an input to this function. Okay, we'll render it. This if string is a Python thing. It's the string interpolation in Python. Let's run this. Okay. This one. See, you can get the routing parameters like this. In Flask, there are 4 types of routing parameters. The default one is string, so we don't have to specify the string type. It's default string. So there are another types: float, integer, and path. Let's see how those 3 types work. Let's copy this. Okay. Here we can annotate the type as this. First we will see how the int work. Int let's run this. int. Okay, now this only accepts integer parameters. If we pass a float like this, it returns a not found error. And also if we pass a string, it throws an error. It only accepts integers. Let's see float. We'll use float. We need the documentation. Okay. See, it accepts floating point numbers. If we pass an integer, it throws an error. Likewise, we can use the types, and the last type is path. The path type allows us to pass a resource path. Like let me show it. Okay. It allows backslashes in the URL. So I oh, server crashed, I think. Okay, wait. See, it takes the after the file, it takes the rest of the URL is taken as a variable, right? That's yeah. These are 4 types of the login parameter types. And let's jump into the routing methods, HTTP methods that supports. Okay, let's copy this one. By default, these all requests are coming as GET request. So if we want to specify another HTTP method, we can specify it here. Methods equal get. This is an array Python list post put delete. Likewise, let's assume this is resource controller. Okay, so now to check, we have to check which methods the request comes from. To check that, we need to import another module called request. So if request method equals get, we can do the things we want to do in the get request. Let's return something. Request. Same, we can specify the other methods also. Post, put, and delete. delete put post. Okay. Let's run this application. Okay, it's running. I'm gonna use the HTML client to show this. Okay, this one here. Here the URL is resource. Now I'm gonna create a GET request. See, we can see the content, and also a delete request. Likewise, put and post. Okay, I'll show how to access form parameters also. Like if we want to create a new resource, we'll submit a form. To access form parameters, we can simply use the request module. So let's assume we're going to pass name and ID from the front end. So name is equal request dot form get name, and ID is equal request dot form get ID. So let's return them in a string. ID and name. Okay, let's restart. In the post method, here I have created two form variables. Let's type something here, and this is the resource ID, and here you can get those variables like this. Okay, let's jump to another section. Next I'm going to show you how to use URL, dynamically building URLs and making redirections. So I'm going to copy this one, and let's stop this. Okay. Now assume we have two user types, and we want to redirect users based on their user type. Let's create some functions. If hello admin, which takes a name parameter, and return a string. And the name. Likewise, we'll define another function, hello customer. We'll delete this, and we'll define another function, hello, which takes two parameters, user type and name. Okay. Here also let's define the routes also. App.route. Route name is hello, which takes two parameters, user type and name of the user. Okay. Now if user type is equal admin, we are gonna redirect to the return redirect. To use redirect, we are not we are going to import another module redirect, and to build dynamic URLs we need another module called URL4. Okay, return redirect URL4. This URL4 function will get the URL from this function name. Now if we want to get the URL for this hello admin, we just type here hello admin. We haven't defined the URL yet, and also it can pass the routing parameters to the function. Okay. Now this function will create a URL to this hello admin function and pass this name as a variable. Let's define the URL to this. Hello admin, and it takes a one parameter name. Okay, so the same for this one. Hello customer and name. Okay, we'll use another if user type is equal customer. I have to redirect to the hello customer function. Right, everything is good. Okay, let's run this. Okay, there's an error which says URLs must start with the leading slash. Yeah, that's a must. URLs should start with the leading slash. Okay. And running. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit this endpoint. Hello, the user type is admin, and say it redirects the user to hello admin. In the debugger also we can see it's a 302. It makes a HTTP redirect. Of the type hello customer video, it also makes a redirect. You can see here. Okay, that's all for routing. Let's jump into templating. Okay, let's create another folder. Let's copy this one. Okay, to use templates, we need to specify a template in folder. So the default one when creating that we can specify folder for templates. So this variable. So the default folder is called templates. We'll create another folder in here. Templates. Right. We're gonna put our template here. Call it layout.html. Okay. Simple HTML. Okay, I'm going to use this hello world function. Right. To render templates, we are going to need another library, another module called render template. Okay. Even without this render template module, we can also render templates like in the earlier also I showed that we can use HTML tags as a single string. Okay. Now to render the template, we are going to use render template we need to specify the template name. It's layout.html, and here we can pass any number of parameters. So let's pass something called name video. Okay. Right. Now we are going to render that fast variable here. Let me add some style here. Let's enter all this text. Okay. Right. Join. Okay, we can use these double curly braces to display a single variable. So we're gonna display the name here. Let's save. Save this one also. Let's run this. Python 3 demo. It's running. Here you can see the render template, and this is the variable that we pass. Okay, and let me show you how to render something conditionally. Assume I'm gonna pass is admin variable. Let me quickly create a template. Okay. Now to check. So based on, let's pass the variable here. So I'm gonna pass is admin equals true. Okay. So now based on that variable, we are going to render something. We can use the same curly braces here. Now I'm gonna use Python ternary if condition to render something, and admin if is admin is true, else the customer. Okay. Now this is gonna render you are an admin or a customer. Let's save and run. See, based on that variable, you are an admin. So let me add something extra. We can conditionally render some block of code like this. We're going to use curly braces and 2% marks. If condition is admin, here we can specify the else condition, else, and we need to end if. So here we can type something. This is only equal to admins. This is only visible to customers. Okay, right. Let's reload. Since this is only visible to admins, if we change this variable, we can see that it's conditionally rendering. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to render something, render through a loop. Let's create a simple list. We create a Python list for courses. Equal Python list. I'm going to create a list of dictionaries. Course IDs. one and course name. Give a course name Java course. We'll create 3 objects. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to pass that courses object also. Courses equal courses. Okay, let's save this. Another div. We can render like this. We can use for loop, curly braces, percentage marks, and for course in courses. Here we can write a block of code we want to render, and end for. Okay, we'll render it in a paragraph P. So course ID hyphen course name. So you can access Python dictionary values in these both two ways, dot name or using double brackets. Let's say this. See, you can use a for loop like this. Okay, then I'll show. Yeah, this is all for the templating. This not the all. There are many things in the templating, like you can use extend templates, and many rendering functions are there. I just showed you the basic things. Let's jump to cookies and sessions. Cookies and sessions. Let's get your folder. Then file demo cookie. Close this. Okay, here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create two methods to set and get a cookie. Okay, so let's make a route to set cookie slash set cookie and another function to get the cookie. Cookie. To set the cookie, we'll pass a parameter name. We'll get it here. Let's return a string. Cookie set is equal name. We don't need to return the name. Let's see now. In the get cookie method, I'm gonna return a method. Yeah, to get the cookie values, we're going to get and set the cookie values. We need to use the request module and make response module. Right here, to set the cookie, we are going to we need to set a response object, make response with this template variable. We want to return the response. Before returning, we need to set the cookie. Set cookie, cookie name and value. Value is name. Okay. We're gonna return the response. To to get the cookie values, we can use name is equal request dot cookies get name. Okay. Here return a string cookie value is equal name. Okay. Let's run this. Three. Hello. That's error because we have written the same function name twice. Okay. Rename this to get cookie. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, it's running. Okay, new task set cookie the name. Okay, here now it returns cookie set, and we can see here the cookie set host cookies name and the content is GBO, right? Likewise, we can use the get cookie method to get the cookie value. So cookie value is GBO. Okay, let me show how to use sessions. It also same as cookies. Let's get a new file demo sessions dot. In here, let's assume we have a home page, login and logout functions. Let's define functions to this home login. Here we're going to pass a name. Okay, to use sessions, we need to import another library or another module session, and I'm gonna use redirect and URL for. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is when the user hits the login endpoint, it will set a session variable and redirect the user to home page. In the home page, if the user is logged in, it's gonna display a message accordingly. Okay, in the home route, let's make this one first. Okay, in the login, we're going to set the session variable. Session name is equal name. Okay, other and return redirect URL for home function. Right. Now once the user hits this endpoint, it will redirect the user to home. Now we are going to check if the user is logged in. If name in session and return a string logged in as session name. In this way we can access session variables. The difference between the session and cookie is the session variable session cookie is encrypted. Therefore, something like we have to set a secret key app secret key. So we need to set a secret key to use the session. Else gonna return not logged in. Okay, now these two are complete. Let's create another function to log out. Out, log out, log out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop out the session variable, session dot pop username, its name. Okay, and we're gonna redirect to the home page. Return, redirect, same thing. Okay, yeah, I think it's good to go. Let's run this. Okay, the previous one. Yeah, URLs must begin with leading slash. Okay, right there, it's running. So now if we go to the home, missing required. Oh, wait. Home variable, home doesn't need the name. It's my mistake. Okay. So we are not logged in. To log in, we're gonna use login. Let's pass name. Yeah, see, logged in as GBO, and we can see the session variable, session cookie is set here. You can see the session cookie, and we cannot see the content. It's encrypted. Okay, now let's hit the logout. Logout. Okay, now we can see the session cookie is empty. See, the content is empty. Okay, right. That's all for cookies and sessions. Yeah, and that's all for the session demo session. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask. And I have uploaded this to the this code in the GitHub, and I have added the links, and also I added documentation links you can refer later. Yeah, that's all. So if you guys have anything or any feedback, you can tell me